Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson.
And Chuck Schultz, say me.
And we're here with the
And we're here.
505 on Racing Show.
That's right.
Another night of race talk.
Or 5 off, 4 on, and then you get a penalty.
And you get a penalty, without a doubt. You know, and a lot of people said, how did you get that name? Well, when you pull into the pits to change tires, you take five
off,
off
and you put 5 on.
5 on.
I knew what you meant when you said it.
Some people that didn't.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't get it.
No.
That's all right.
Speaking of not getting it, Talladega's this weekend.
Yeah.
The big one.
How's that going to work out?
You know, with this new package, I know they put some of the drive back in the driver's hands, but some of these young kids think they're indestructible.
Well,
And you know.
that's because they haven't had the big wreck yet. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
That's, you know. How many kids do we know that are indestructible and they're running like there's no tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then they have that accident and then, hey, something's different.
Oh, yeah. And it changes the way they drive. It changes
Absolutely.
everything. Like, the same thing happened with Kyle Petty when he broke his leg years ago.
Yeah.
He was having a decent career. He was running up front, had some wins, and he broke his femur, which is the upper leg bone, which is the longest and strongest bone in the body. And he was out of racing for about almost a year, and it changed his whole driving style. He wasn't as aggressive as he was.
No, you know what the outcome could be.
Right.
You know, when you don't know, and I don't want to say young and stupid, but when you don't know, it's all fun and games.
It is.
You know what I mean? And then once you realize that what you're driving is something that can really kill you, then all of a sudden reality starts setting in.
You know, as Mickey said to Rocky in the Rocky movie, and Rocky said, "Is he going to hurt me bad?" And Mickey said, "No, he's going to hurt you permanent." And sometimes that's worse.
Yeah.
It's permanent.
The days of, flipping the car down the back straightaway like Earnhardt and looking back and going, wait a minute, I still got 4 tires, getting back in the car and going into the pits with it. You know, with the halo bar all crunched down and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Yeah, like in the movie Days of Thunder. You're not like slamming people into the wall at 200 miles an hour.
No.
No. And
Well, you don't have the control.
No.
You know, honestly, at 200 miles an hour, you know, you're in a turn, you cut a wet fart, you're going into the wall.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
You know.
Without a doubt. And you know, in the old rules, I mean the old days when it was giddy up and go, the races were less crashes and more clean passing and more drafting. Now it's, you know, they're running fender to fender, hub to hub, and like you said, if a guy behind them just does that, takes the air off the spoiler,
And that's
they're
it,
in
they're
the
gone.
air.
Yeah.
They're up in the air.
Yeah, when you're talking about the old days in the 70s and even back in the 80s, though, but yeah, it was a different animal. But, you know, you also, back in the 70s, they were leading the race by, 4 laps?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was, him and 2 other cars. And
Right.
basically it came down to those 2 guys on the last lap, or 3 guys on the last lap. So I don't know what the package definitely puts a closer feel, but it just seems sad that all they need is a little something wrong, and it's like throwing a paper in a windstorm.
And-
You
and
just go, woo, you know.
And for the most part, the early stages of the race, it's just follow the leader, stay in line.
Stay clean.
You know, then you take that last pit stop with 20 laps to go.
That's
and
where it all
it's-
goes.
Man, they're 3 wide down the backstretch, and
Because that's the time.
it is.
But then, of course, we had the old 70s thing where Richard Petty would just hang out around 7 or 8, maybe 9th
Yep.
at worst case scenario. And he would just buy his time, and the last, handful of laps, 5, 10 laps, he was coming.
Yeah.
He'd do the slingshot and, he'd be coming, right? How many times did you heard, he's going to do the slingshot, here he
Gonna do
comes.
it.
And he would be coming.
Yeah.
But, those days are not, you know.
No, and the cars are built differently today.
You mean to tell me I can't run a Super B
No,
with the big spoiler?
those are the days.
And they came out with that car, and they were, what, like 12 mile an hour faster than everybody
Yep.
else? Benny Parsons, right?
And-
He broke the track record or something at the time. It was
And
like,
they had said that, in order to race those cars, it had to be sold as a stock product.
and that was sold as a
And that
stock
was
product.
sold. Yeah, it was a package. It was a package. But you look at these like the Talladegas, the Daytonas, even Michigan. Those places are daggone fast. They're fast. And even with the old package, they were fast. It's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Well, hey, they knocked them down around 180 mile an hour, and that was all well and good, but you knew it was just a matter of time. They were going to tweak it, and they're back up to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. I mean, you're
You know, slow down. You're flat foot. You slow down a little bit around the turn, but when they come into when they come down the straightaway at 203 mile an hour or whatever they are,
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially for a car like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, look at what they're doing with with the formulas, the formula cars. Those things are like,
They're like rocket ships.
they are. And there's no aerodynamics to that.
No. It's a torpedo with
So
wheels.
how is it possible that we can't make a car that's got aerodynamics that can handle 250 miles an hour comfortably without... And then the other question is, do they really need to do 250 miles an hour? They've been trying to slow them down for years.
Yeah.
But
years and
they
years.
need to keep... what's the answer? If you slow them down, then they're rolling the pack again.
Right. But it's an equal all in the back.
Yeah, but it's just... It's an equal all in the pack, but they're going to drive it right to the edge anyway. So
Always
they're all
do.
going to be on edge.
Yeah.
So somebody blows a tire and has a wiggle, and that's it.
That's it.
You got
You're running that close.
14 cars.
And the tires, the tire package that Goodyear puts out, it's a good tire, but when you run at that speed,
There's nothing good.
there's
And you know that they're going to, 2 more laps. Give me 2 more laps out of those tires.
Yep.
We're going to have a caution. 2 more laps. They run them right to the end.
Oh, yeah.
They get their money's worth out of them. Those
without a doubt.
tires owe them nothing by the time they take them off.
no.
No.
It's going to be interesting to watch with this new.
And it's not that the product's not good. It's just that which is what racing is.
Right.
They push everything to the max.
to the max, and then you find a crew chief or a fabricator who gets that little edge.
Right.
And he's like,
Tommy Ryan, who does a little tweak to the quarter panel. Next thing you know, he's getting a check from Terry Labonte.
I can tell you, I know Tommy Ryan a long time, and
He's taking those big bumpers off of there and putting one of the Camaro aluminum bumpers on like they had on the figure eight cars.
he changed.
Try this, see how it works out for
He
you.
changed the studs on the
the
wheels
tires.
so that it was a different thread, so it would go on faster,
right.
and only save a couple of tenths. Well,
That's
got
a
caught.
lot.
Yeah, he got caught. They caught it, and Mr. Hendrick called him in. He thought he's getting fired. And Mr. Hendrick says, "I wish more people have that ingenuity and the fortitude."
Not
to do
only
that."
was it a coarser thread, but it was also shorter.
Yes.
Shorter thread. It was like we're using a short track.
Right.
He probably called Dennis up and said, send me a couple dozen of those things.
Yeah, really. He's got a couple of dozen hundred probably. And even he did something with the fuel cell container where because the air going under the car was hitting the fuel cell, so he
Right.
raised it up.
Up so that the air wouldn't be
And he got called in
impeded.
again, got another pat on the back,
Got
and a
another
little
check.
Yeah.
Well, he did a quarter panel thing in the wind tunnel.
Yep.
And it was like, that was the year Terry Labonte won the cup.
Won the cup. Yeah, I mean, it's I remember the first time I met Tommy Ryan, he was doing some welding, and he was
Bottle
just
of
sitting
Jack Daniels in one
there. Oh,
hand,
my bottle of Jack.
torch in the other.
Torch, the welder, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, and that's how he talked.
And I'm
too.
like, this guy's out of touch. No, that's how he talked.
That's how he talked.
I was
He'd
happy.
come to my shop and we'd set up the car, and I'm like, hey, Tommy, what do you think? If we do this over here and I do this, maybe change that over there? What do you think? You think that'll work? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was nothing excited him. Tommy, your shoe's on fire. Oh. Nothing excited him.
No.
It was,
and I'd go to these races. I'd see him in
he
the
was
garage.
calm.
I'd see him in the garage, and I'd go over and we'd talk, and we'd share everything. And he was working for Dale Jr., and we're sitting there, like, the car's here, and we're, like, in the bay. And there was a bunch of people crowding around to see Dale Jr., and Dale Jr.'s getting all panicky. And Tyron goes, Joe, I think they're going to make you leave. Just keep talking to me. And sure enough, you got to go. Oh, I told you. But yeah, I mean, he's been around the Cup garage for a long time.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah, he went down there in a borrowed car for a job interview, and he got a job with Ricky Rudd that lasted a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, I don't think he even had a job. I think
Well,
Ricky Rudd got
Rusty
him.
Wallace originally talked to him and didn't have a job for him. And then Rusty Wallace called somebody and says, listen, I can't use this guy, but you better. And next thing you know, he was in.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys from Long Island went down and made it happen.
Yeah, they did.
You know, it's funny when.
Well, I had the guy on my crew, John Farino.
John,
who's they won the Daytona 500, right, with Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
And he was a friend of mine from the fire department, and yeah, we were at Pocono. It was a long weekend, and we're shot. We're in the van. The Cup race is going on. We're on the front straightaway, watching it on TV. I'm shot. Seat's back. I'm trying to sleep. And Bonnie says to me, somebody's here from the fire department. They want to talk to you. I'm like, no, get out of here. Come on, leave me alone. No, seriously, somebody's here. And he's here. He wants to come help me on my car. So he comes, he helps. Spent a couple years with me, 3-4 years.
Yep.
Taught him everything I knew, which wasn't much, And he's like, what do I do to get a job in Cup? I says, you got to go down there. Whatever you got to do, sweep a floor, go down there and just, whatever you got to do, work for free.
Yep.
And that's what he did. He went down there and he started.
I actually, I'm going to say 2 years ago, a team owner in not the top series, but one of the other series, took me out to dinner. We talked, and we came up with a dollar amount. It sounded real good. So, you know what? I could do this. I'm on a pension, but I had to get there, and I had to get my room. And I'm like,
You mean to every race?
yeah. So I'm like, it's going to cost $300 or $400 for the plane, a couple $100 a night for the room. If I'm not making $1,000 a week, it's not going to fly. And we couldn't come to terms. We shook hands. If anything changes, on both sides, we're good to go. But that's what you got to do. You got to break even and work for free.
At least it wasn't costing you nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I still had to eat though. I couldn't go with my garage pass to the Golden Corral and say, I'm a Cub guy.
Can I eat at the buffet?
Oh well. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about some more NASCAR news and some race talk that we always seem to get from behind the scenes when we come back.
Hey, what's up? Oh, I said was gonna say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Off, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hey, so I'm scrolling through some NASCAR news the other day, and I find this thing about scheduling. And it says NASCAR's 2020 schedule came from tracks working together with NASCAR. The only thing is that the current agreement with the track, for most of the tracks, ends at the end of 2020. And on the current agreement, NASCAR could not move dates from a track that was locked in for plus or minus 2 weeks. So if they normally had the race April 15th, they can go to the 1st or the 30th, but they had to be within 2 weeks. Now in 2021, the talk is with Mr. France, who now runs the company, a bulk of the agreements, as I said, expire, but there's talk about adding midweek races. The plan is to put more races in an already long season, like maybe in some cases 2 races a week. Like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then a Sunday.
Oh, are you back to the 70s?
We're back to the 70s. We're back to the
I
70s.
don't think we can make that happen.
And what's happening is so many tracks looking for dates, according to an unpublished report, that this is going to be part of the new agreements with the new tracks to run midweek.
How many new tracks are we talking about?
They haven't said.
Half a dozen tracks, 2 dozen.
You know, it's going to be one of those things where.
I mean, and really, where are these tracks? I mean, that we don't know about, that they're not racing.
Well, you know, there's a lot of tracks like when Bruton Smith bought, and I believe it was, I don't want to mess this up, but North Wilkesboro, to close it to get a second date for one of his other tracks. So, you know, you could see in North Wilkesboro coming back. You could see, you know, some of the racetracks that they pulled away from.
Yeah, but there's some infrastructure they're going to have to do there because North Wilkesboro was shot.
Yeah, oh yeah, it would have to be, basically rebuilt.
That's, they'd have to do a lot of work.
But there's so many of these places that are looking for dates that can't get them, and this is a good opportunity. And see, my concern is the tracks that are running now can't put people in the seats, and let's add some more, and let's add midweek races. Now people got to take days off from work, not just a half a day Friday to get there.
Well, I mean, when there's a race weekend and people go to the race, don't they really kind of take off the week anyway? They show up
For
there
some
for
of them.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday
for
type
some
of
of
deal.
them. There's, when you look at some
And
of these places.
their travel day's a Wednesday anyway.
Yeah, when you go to like Daytona, you're there for like 2 weeks, a week and a half.
Yeah, for some of
But,
those.
a Bristol or Martinsville, it's a Friday, Saturday deal.
Just sticking this out there, I mean, you'd have the Xfinity Series. What about doing something like, back in the day, you had the Busch Series.
Yeah.
And it was kind of very close because you did have a lot of people that ran both.
Yep.
Back in the day. They almost need to have like a national and an American league, don't they? Right? Mm-hmm. And then they have a couple of races where they all get together or something?
Uh-huh.
Like, say, the big track or something?
Yeah, instead of doing this the chase, or whatever, the playoffs as they call it now.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that.
Because how does that work out, really? When you think about it, there's people that are totally out of that mix.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks,
And
doesn't
now
it?
you got to decide, as a team owner, what races you're going to go to. It's just like the way the 60s was. David Pearson, he only ran the higher paying races because the points were based on the money earned. And he'd be running up, in the top 5 in points, racing half the races because he didn't run the small. He didn't go to ISUP Speedway that paid, peanuts.
$1,500 to win.
Yeah, I know it was in the 60s.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, in the middle of the week. Oh, that's what we're going back to.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's funny that the people that are now in charge of NASCAR outside the boardroom and have their hands and feet in the garage area are going back to the roots, because what Brian France did didn't work. Didn't work. They're running in Pocono and he's on Long Island partying.
Well, I don't know if it's the end game that's not working or if it's actually the start of game that's not working.
Right.
Because ultimately, when you think about it, is changing the end game going to make any more difference? Like you said, they're not getting people in the stands now.
Right.
So by increasing their scope, are they going to get more people in the stands wherever they go?
I don't think so.
I mean, when you think about it, the tracks are not that far away where, I'd have to drive for, 8 hours to get to the closest NASCAR track. You really don't have to.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be
To watch a race, So, if it opened up right down the road, then I could go. Would that really make a difference? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's just...
I think whatever it is, we need to think about what's not getting the people to get involved in the sport in the first place.
Greed, corporate greed. I really believe that. Corporate greed is what's killing it. And when I say corporate greed, the hotels, the restaurants, the airlines, the trains, anybody that has anything to do in that particular 100-mile radius. It's they're just tearing the people up. And that's why I stopped doing my Daytona tickets, because it just got to be so out of control. And you go to a restaurant and they show a special menu, and you go there and then you want a bowl of spaghetti and it was like $25 when it's normally $9.95. Everything was
Yeah, there's no doubt they gouge the people there because they have the opportunity to make the money, so everybody's jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah. And you see was how did I put it? You'd see where like a hotel that gets $79.99.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, and that's absolutely that's true. That's with any event, even if it's the Hamptons or Montauk for Labor Day or Memorial Day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They boost it up because it's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Somebody said that.
But I'm wondering if it has something to do with what do we need to do to get some of these other car companies involved in the sport.
Yeah. Somebody said I need to look up, and they didn't understand that I was answering questions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll look up. Does that work?
No, don't look up that high because then Bonnie will be mad at you.
Yeah. Oh, she was mad last week. Not at me though.
Yeah, I was looking up. That's why I'm looking down now. I'm watching what you're doing. I don't want to look up. She'll smack me in the back of the head with a ruler.
Yeah, but it's.
But yeah, what do you do to get the other car companies involved? I mean, when you think about the market share that these other car companies have now. I mean, back in the day, you had the big three. All right, so fine. The big three, pretty much, you could hold a race, and somebody coming to that race had one of those big three cars.
Right.
I'm a Ford guy, I'm a Chevy guy, I'm a Mopar guy, whatever the case may be. Back in then, they had the Buicks and all the rest of the things, and back in the day, But now, what do you do with that?
That's going to be the interesting part. And when you look at the templates, and I worked in the template tech barn.
It's going to be hard to get a Honda Civic to pass tech, right?
Right. Yeah. And even with the Camry, and I say this over and over and over again, there is no rear-wheel drive Camry built in America or anywhere in the world. But it runs in the Cup Series.
Well, there's no Mustang that has a wheelbase that car has anyway.
Exactly.
So.
No, there's none. And there's no two-door Camry. But yet, on the racetrack, there's a two-door Camry. There's no V8 Camry.
Right. Well, this is all part of it, and I don't know what the answer is there.
It was like years ago, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. The car that you're watching in the race on Sunday, you're not going to find anywhere.
So what you're telling me is they got to have a 4-cylinder division.
Well, they did years ago, the Dash. The Goodies Dash series was 4 cylinders. But they sounded like buzz bombs.
Sure.
Going around there, nobody was interested in that. And they, you watch that, and this had to go down a straightaway. Whereas all the other cars are zoom, zoom, zoom. You just got to focus on one spot because you're not going
to see them all.
Yeah, and you can't focus in front of you because it's just a blur of color. You got to look at the far corner or that corner.
Well, see, that's where the pickle comes in. I'm sure that they've been hashing this around for quite some time, trying to figure out what they need to do.
Oh yeah.
So
now, we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I think it's a way to get some of these track operators a little nervous that we'll pull some races from you. Well, your contract's over. I think that's part of it. And when you see empty seats and Bristol's explanation why that whole back section was not sold out or not a seat sold, period, I think was nonsense. And I could see, and a lot of times I say stuff like this, people think I'm nuts, but it happens sometimes. I could see Bruton Smith taking his tracks, pulling out, and you're going to have NASCAR, International Speedway Corp, and Speedway Motorsports separate, running their own deal, their own gig, and drivers are going to run both series, and then maybe they'll have a playoff
Super Bowl,
series. Yeah,
a World Series.
Well,
I'll tell you what, that somehow or another that sounds like a plan. I don't really know how that would work, but somehow or another that kind of sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So it should be interesting to see how that holds out. Now, another change that they went through is the 2019 All-Star package that's held at Charlotte Motor Speedway down in Charlotte, North Carolina. May 18th, it's a night race, a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The cars will feature 2 new technical elements that NASCAR may introduce in the Generation 7 car that is scheduled to debut in 2021.
Rear-wheel drive?
Yeah, still.
Turbo? A blower coming out the hood?
Automatics. The event will be 5 laps longer, from 80 to 85 laps, split into 4 stages. The new single-piece carbon fiber splitter, which is expected to offer dramatic improvements in ride height sensitivity. And that's going to be in that package. And also a car will be configured with a radiator exit duct through the hood. What that's going to do, I don't know. I'm not a fabricator.
Through the hood.
Yeah.
So we're going back to Ram Air, back to the 80s.
I'm going backwards.
Can I run the Trans Am? That's all I want to know. I want the Burt Reynolds Trans Am.
Burt Reynolds Trans Am.
With the Ram induction hood.
Now, and that's a race that these teams build a throwaway car for because it pays a lot of money and they don't care what happens to it. They want the money, because that's a big paying event, non-points. So why not do a NASCAR test at the expense of the teams? Because that's what they're doing.
Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to build it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. A NASCAR test at the expense of the teams. Not that the teams don't already have enough expenses. And, and that's why the cost is crazy and
it's astronomical.
It is astronomical. And no guy like you who has a race car, a good driver, could show up and say, "Oh, I'm going to go racing." That didn't happen.
Not going to happen.
No, there's like an approval board now.
Oh yeah.
And then the envelope gets put on the table and.
Oh yeah.
No longer, hey, we watched you at this short track.
Oh yeah.
You're good.
Well, you remember what happened to me at Charlotte.
Yeah.
Which I thought was, I still to this day, I'm just baffled. I know that it might have been him doing a nice thing, I'm going to say, because it kind of, in a way, makes sense. But at the time, I was looking to run Busch North. And there was another division, the sportsman division, which was like the apprentice to the apprentice division.
Right.
So you could run the sportsman division, and move up to Bush North and move up to Bush. So I made some calls, and I talked to Ed Cox, who gave me Rick Mast's number and a couple other people. I was talking to Tiger Tom Pistone and Jabe Jones. Why do I remember all of these names? I don't know. But
That's what happens when you get old.
And so anyway, he gave me all of these numbers, and I'm talking to different people. I went and I saw Rick Mast and saw his car, and they were all selling cars. Yeah, these guys, they have Bush cars. It's the same car, different motor. Okay, so I'm looking at these different cars. Anyway, Jabe Jones says to me, why don't you come to Charlotte? We're running on Charlotte the whole week. Come on down, you can take the car out, try it. So I pack up pack up the truck and head down we go, right? And we go down there, and we're talking to Tiger Tom Pistone and Rick Mast, and while we're there, we had a whole week. Anyway, comes time for me to take the car out, and Cox says, you can't take that car out. After he gave me the phone numbers. I'm like, why not? Oh, no, you have to be cleared to drive, even in practice. I just was going to take it out for practice. Couldn't do it.
Nope.
And Jabe Jones was very upset because he needed that money in order to go bush racing. So, yeah, he was pretty upset.
See, I went through that when I was going to go tour racing. And I put in for my driver's license to be a tour driver. And everybody's getting their licenses back, and I'm not. Something, maybe I put the wrong address, I don't know. And nope. And I call up, and I speak to Brett Bodine, and he goes, no, you're not experienced enough to race a modified. And I said, Brett, with all due respect, I didn't just wake up this morning and say, I'm going to drive a tour modified. I've gone and run and practiced at Thompson. I've gone and practiced here. I've run some laps at Riverhead. I'm turning laps that would get me in the top 20 in any race that you had in the last 4 years. Yeah, but you don't have enough experience in racing. We all know that just running in practice is not the same. I said, what happened to a guy could just show up and race? What happened to, why can't you watch me in practice and say, the guy's okay or the guy's a nightmare? And then there was this female who was fairly new to the series who I could not find anywhere in any racetrack, any series of her running a modified. So I brought that up and they said, we're not talking about her, we're talking about you.
Yeah, well, diversity.
Right.
Yeah, different story.
My daughter would have had a better shot at getting in a tour mod than me.
Yeah.
I tried to sneak out there, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I call it a blessing because the year after that, they did away with the sportsman division.
Yeah.
So I would have had a car that I wouldn't have been able to do anything with.
A swing set.
Which kind of I have now.
Yeah. It would have floated away with the Super Song.
Well, at least I would have been able to claim it.
Hey,
actually, you can't claim it.
No.
No, it's race.
Well, it was a swing set.
Anything that's a car, can't claim.
Yeah. Hey, John Visconti III, he's involved with the Truck Series, Can-Am Pro. He explained the splitter, and I think I could, he wrote it real good, simple, that I can understand. It's a stepped splitter to have the cars less aero-dependent in traffic. Now, I kind of now understand what that means. Because if in traffic, they're bobbing and weaving, They get out in the dirty air, and it's a whole different ballgame. Mm-hmm. As they call it, dirty air. I mean, it's just nobody. Because I don't know, if people don't understand how a draft works, how can I show it? All right. This is the lead car. It's pushing the air. And the air is actually going over this guy and going over this guy and coming down and pushing him, so the two give less throttle and go faster. That's pretty much what a draft is. Invented by Junior Johnson. Not that he invented it, but he was the first one to do it. Yeah, he found it.
But once you get out of that draft, now you're pushing your own air.
Right.
And you need more throttle.
Exactly.
Which is why when they get in the middle and they're out of the draft, they go back like a rock.
Yeah. I saw an in-car video of a modified at Loudon, up in New Hampshire. And I'm watching him. And it was Joe Hartman from Long Island, and he's coming up to Todd Zegedy, and you hear the wind. You see the belt, when you pull your belts tight, and you still get that little flap, and everything's flapping. And he gets behind him, and you actually hear the motors quiet down a little, and you could see them going faster. It was like you actually saw his RPM thing drop a little bit. I was like, that's pretty cool. He goes, yeah, and I figured I could pass him, and it was like a brick wall.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that even on a short track, which that would be considered a short track, on a modified that has like no aerodynamics whatsoever,
Oh, yeah.
that there's a lot of aerodynamics involved in that principle.
It does.
Even on a small track like Riverhead, there's a little bit of aerodynamics.
A little bit. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not as crazy as what we're talking about,
no.
but just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're still down the straightaway 3.5 seconds at a little track like Riverhead.
Right.
Yeah, so you can pick up a little bit. Anyway, I think we got to take a break. And we come back with some NASCAR news that maybe is not good news. It's kind of sad, but we'll talk about that when we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Master. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back. Hey, we got some sad news to report. It seems like we're talking more sad stuff every week than some good stuff, but...
Well, it's because everybody's getting older.
Yeah. Brenda Jackson, mother of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Kelly Earnhardt Miller, has died following a battle with cancer. She was 65. She was a longtime employee at JR Motorsports, working as an accounting specialist since 2004. Daughter of the legendary fabricator Robert Gee, who built a car for an up-and-coming kid named Dale Earnhardt. They were married in 1972, separated shortly thereafter, where she went to Virginia, where she met her husband, and they've been married for 33 years, and they're back in North Carolina, helping out her son's and daughter's racing operation. Kind of sad, you know. Here's a woman that's, you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s mother, and it takes for her to die for anybody to even know who she really is. It's kind of sad.
That is sad.
You know,
I mean, if you really were in the know, you'd kind of figure it out that Teresa is just a stepmom.
Right.
But it is very sad.
You know, and what Teresa, and it's none of our business, and it was, you don't know how it was set up, but you take a business that was set up by your now husband, who had children that were driving for him and not to give them a piece of the pie. That's why JR Motorsports was founded. He went out on his own. He was fired, and it was DEI became her. It's kind of sad.
Well, I think she owned it from the beginning, didn't she?
Yeah.
She was on the books as owning it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of, it's, I don't know. I have different
ideas.
I do. I'm told that all the time.
It is.
My normal isn't everybody else's
No,
normal. No,
it is not.
No.
But that's true of me too. I mean, it's apparently I look at things and people look at me a little crossways.
Yeah, But, I mean, there's so many things that I mean, I know you a long time, and there's things that you've said, I'm like, I got to think about that. And then when it's first said and taught, I'm like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, it makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
I don't know. And people got to step out of the box sometimes. A lot of people are with that paradigm. We do it this way because we always did it this way.
That's right.
And, and I just said to somebody the other day, I said, if Christopher Columbus wasn't afraid to step out of the box a little bit,
we wouldn't be here.
We'd be still speaking like Indian language, native language, because it took me like 40 years to realize there were other people here because he didn't discover it. There were people here.
I mean, just, some people, of course I do. I mean, everybody kind of sometimes makes fun of it, but I have a different perspective on a lot of things. I'll look at the same thing that everybody else looks at, and when you got a driver's meeting with, 100 people there for a driver's meeting, and the guy's like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I'm thinking, all it's doing is costing me money.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, I'm trying to put on a show, and I'm like, hey, I am the show. And everybody laughed. Yeah. But afterwards, they thought about it, and it's true. Yeah. How much money are you spending to go to your local track, to put on a show, to maybe walk out with $275 at the end of the night? That doesn't even pay for a set of tires.
No.
Let alone, I was dropping $1,000 a weekend between tires and fuel and going to the track and getting ready. And that's if we didn't bend anything up.
Right. And once you break something, then a right front's $1,000 easy.
And fine, even if you have sponsors, that's all well and good. But you're still spending money that your racing business is bringing in.
Yep.
That should be in your checkbook to maybe buy another car or a better hauler or whatever. Right. But you're still spending extra money now to go ahead and, and then you got 50 cars there, and you're changing, in this case it was monoballs and lower control arms and stuff, and everybody's probably got 8 or 10 of them in their car, depending on what kind of car they're running. Yep. So now the local speed shop, he's got to have 400, 500 of these things.
Right. Yeah.
Plus now you got to scramble for 2 weeks to try to find new lower control arms, new trailing arms, and all the rest of that because they're welded in.
Yep.
So
when I first went back to Riverhead, I mean, I raced it. Let me rephrase that. I drove around at some speedway in the 70s and 80s. But when I went to Riverhead, I have a race car. I'm going to go racing, and 2 months into the season, because I was in the figure eights, and they had 6 cylinders and they had V8s. The only difference was the V8s had to be 200 pounds heavier. Okay, that's not a big deal, but coming off the corner, 200 pounds is a lot. And so we all had the little clutches. Well, they pass it around. I go out and get this new clutch, because I know I got it to try to compete, and it's like $800.
Yes, actually.
So like a month later, I walk into the racetrack or drive in with my race car in tow, and I'm handed the rules. Oh, there's the rules of Dennerman. Oh, okay. Effective immediate. Immediate, that's today. Meantime, the parts truck was all stocked. So I said, I can't buy a clutch today. All right, so add another 300 pounds. What are you talking about? So I do it. What are you going to do?
So now you got 500 pounds in the car.
Yeah. So instead of finishing like 17th, I finished like 20th. All right. Okay. Now we're in my shop, and we're sitting there, and we're sitting on the tires. I'm like, how do we do this? Oh, what the heck? So all of a sudden, somebody comes over my house and says, Roger Maynard said use this clutch because it had to weigh 32 pounds.
Right.
So I put it on a scale, it's 32 pounds.
32 pounds.
I hardly got, I got maybe 30 laps out of the clutch I just bought for $800. Light bulb goes off. At the firewall, where the chassis hits the firewall, I had a 28-pound weight. The headers ran right next to it. So I bolted that clutch to where the weight used to be. Because the rules said you had to have one. Didn't say it had to be functioning. So I put it there.
That's interesting.
I went to law school. So, so we do that. And now I go racing, and I finished 9th. Started in the back. I finished 9th, one of my, rare top 10s.
Because you got less than 500 pounds less in the car now.
Absolutely. And Mike Scarito, who is like one of the head officials, stops me on the off ramp. You need to go to tech. I said, since when does a 9th place guy go to tech? He goes, just go to tech. So I pull into tech, and the late Walter Bonsack goes, what are you doing here? You weren't one of the top 3. They sent me here. Mike Scarito comes out on a golf cart. We want that clutch. Okay, I get one of my guys, he goes through the motions, but he takes out, the drive shaft comes out and all of that stuff, and he unbolts the one that's on the chassis rail. And it's hot because the headers are running right on it. He's holding it with these gloves and rags, and he puts it on the table, and they pick it up and they weigh it, and it's 33 pounds. I said, what's this all about? I'm playing stupid. We thought you still had the little clutch. You were coming off the corners too good. We pushed it back, got the winch, got it on the trailer.
That's it.
You gotta,
Sometimes you got to read between the rules.
Exactly. And the late Bobby Lane,
The gray areas.
modified driver, figure 8 driver, he drove everything, said to me, how many lines you see in a piece of paper in the rule book? I said, 24. He goes, I see 48.
Got to read between the lines.
Between the lines. And that's what you got to do. And maybe that's why they made me a tech inspector when I was on the track.
Well, that's all part of racing.
It is. And what do they say?
It's not illegal till you get caught.
Exactly. Exactly. There's so many things I did, and nothing worked, but it was fun trying. It was really fun trying. Anyway, but yeah, those things, and we'll see. And I can remember, I always pick on Fast Out because he could take it. He came in, and I think he won the race in the modifieds. And of course, they take his carburetor. I'm going to check it out. Carburetor is perfectly fine. And he'll remember this, but the boosters weren't. If I'm not mistaken, they said they were tapered, and they couldn't be. Now, these carburetors for a modified, they were very expensive. So they said, no, he says, I need to know what's illegal. Is it the whole carburetor, or is it pieces? Well, the boosters. Al comes in with a hammer. He hammers the boosters off. He goes, here's your boosters, and walked out with his carburetor. True story. He's on. I'm sure he'll comment on that. But, sometimes it's so silly what they break chops on.
Well, they did that to us with the mini spool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won a race, and so I think I walked out with that was the only race of the season. They didn't have a trophy.
Right.
So I got a hat.
You got a hat.
I got a hat. So we go to Tech, right? We won the race. We're happy about that. So they want to see the mini spool because they think I'm running an aluminum mini spool. So the fun part about the whole thing is we drop the drive shaft, pull the ham out, right, so they can see the mini spool, and they want the mini spool out of there. They don't want to see the ham. They want the mini spool out. So, we take it all apart so they can see it. And lo and behold, which was the funniest thing, we actually had a problem with the mini spool before that. So since like a couple of years before that, I always had, everything in my trailer.
Yep.
I had a spare mini spool in the trailer because we had gone to Thompson, it was a weekend. We had gone to Thompson and we took the ferry over to hit Riverhead to go back to the shop, and we had a bad mini spool. So now I was carrying a mini spool. So they go to the parts truck because they don't know what a mini spool looks like. They wanted to get a mini spool from the parts truck. So he he could see what it's supposed to look like and match it up to what we have. So, of course, Bonnie, my wife, she goes over to our trailer, and she pulls out the mini spool, comes walking over, goes, "Is this what you're looking for? Is this what you want to see?" Because they didn't even know what it looked like.
No.
But they wanted us to take it apart so they could see it.
Yeah.
So it cost me more money to put the hand back together than I made that night. Yeah, because you got to do the lash right and the whole thing.
Al Lamorino's laughing at us talking about the boosters. He remembered.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. We come back, talk about a couple more things, and it just seems to go so fast when we come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8, Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Village Music Shop of Master. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Welly. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
What's up, guys? This is Assuming We Survive, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, we've got some Indy news coming up. Indy's like in a month or so, right? 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Dreyer and Reinbold Racing has confirmed J.R. Hildebrand will return to the team to drive the 48 Chevrolet in an attempt to qualify for the 103rd running of the Indianapolis 500. Hildebrand is an 8-time Indy 500 starter with 4 top 10 finishes, and he was the 2011 Rookie of the Year. So that's probably some Indy news is coming out of it. Indy's been quiet.
And that's going to be the big weekend. So they got the Coca-Cola 600, right?
Yep.
Same weekend. That's a big deal.
It is. Now, Fairgrounds Speedway, Nashville, Tennessee, a lawyer representing Formosa Productions pushed back against allegations made by the Nashville Board of Fair Commissioners that the company has breached its contract to run the racetrack, and they've already canceled a couple of races there. The two issues stem from the track breaking its designated curfew of 7 p.m. on a school night, and unpaid concession commissions of $31,930 from last year. The racetrack said the commissions are supposed to be paid at the end of the contract and not annually. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Fairground Speedways, that's you know, it's always a backdoor way to shut these racetracks down, I think, in these communities. It's a backdoor way. And
Well, it's like Al Capone. Get them with tax evasion.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, nobody goes to prison for the rest of their life and not paying their taxes.
You know what? If the outcome's the same, they'll try anything.
Exactly.
Ultimately, that's the bottom line, right?
It is. But it's one of those things. And when you see tracks going through that kind of a horror show, I mean, yeah, you do have to be neighbor friendly. And if your rule says it's a school night, You got to shut down by 7. And it turned out it was a misunderstanding, listening to the other side, even though there's 3 sides to every story, is that the track operator was not at the facility. And somebody said, you know, we're coming close to 7, what do we do? Let's just get that last race out, and that last race took an hour. And boom, you know, it just takes one phone call and
one thing.
And you know, just like the problems Riverhead was having with the trailer park, that you know,
sometimes they're waiting for you.
They're just waiting. They're holding the phone.
Just waiting. What's going to happen?
You know, yeah. You know, I remember one of the nights, my first or third week. It was like the first month that I took over for the late Walt Edzo, and the figure 8s were lined up in the chute. The modified race is still going, and it's 11:05.
Ooh. Well, that's a tough one.
Yes, I don't know what to do. First of all, I'm still no. I don't even know what what I'm allowed to do.
Right.
And I called the Cromedies on the red phone, and Jim Cromedy said, "Run them. We'll deal with it." So I run them. The race ends. I'm walking down the tech, and there's the Riverhead Town Police. Jim Cromedy says, "Oh, he's a new official. He didn't know."
Oh, you knew that was coming. Come on, you didn't know that? I could have told you that before you started the story.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better.
Oh,
he's from out of town.
That's what he said. He goes, this is his first time in charge. He didn't know about the curve. We'll let him know for next time. I'm like, I'm thinking they're coming to arrest me. But no, they just, I think they had to make a donation or something.
Sure, you pay a fine.
Oh, yeah, but it was very, very scary because there's rules, and you know you can't run after a certain time, and you don't want a division. They paid to get in. They practice.
You don't want to send them home.
Right. They had heat races.
After they've been there all day, what do you do?
Right.
Send them home? You can't.
Okay. And I can remember when I was racing it, that happened a couple of times, and you're like, you throw your hands up.
What's going on?
You
Yeah.
know, you pay the pit fee, and I know the pit fee. You know, you've practiced, you want your race car and all that, and it's really insurance, but...
Well, you're trying to, they're trying to put on a show.
Exactly.
But you are the show.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. I'll tell you what.
But that's hard. I mean, it's a bad, you know, and I'm not saying anything bad about, you know, local tracks or the Cromedies or, you know...
Right.
Or the guys that are there now, but it's tough. It's a tough balancing act. It really is, just to get make everybody happy and come out making some money. Right. I mean, obviously, look at the tracks that are closing left and right.
Oh, left and right.
I mean, you know, English Town, as far as the drag track goes. I mean, in New Jersey, that's been there forever. I mean, in my mind, I'm not a drag guy, but in my mind, that's a big track.
Yeah. And you have to, in my opinion, you have to have a second business that's making money or a job where you're
to
making
support it.
Big money, because your window of racing opportunity is limited. It's limited. You have a couple of rainouts. You know, if you're only running, we'll say 26 races a year, so, and you have 4 rainouts, that's like losing your pay for 2 months. You know, it's like, what do you do?
As a track owner,
As a track operator, yeah.
Sure.
You know,
well, because it's seasonal anyway to begin with, and you know, a lot of people think they can run year round, and you really can't.
No.
Not on Long Island, you can't.
No. And
you know, there's a season to everything.
The electric bill's still going to come whether you raced or not. Your insurance man wants his money whether you raced or not. You bought all this food, now that some of it you can't
What do you do with it, right?
So I don't know.
There's food, there's T-shirts.
I could win Mega Millions. I don't know if I'd want to be a track operator.
I
thank the Lord that there's people out there that want to do that.
That are willing to do it.
They're willing to
because
take that gamble.
it's not, doesn't sound like an easy game to me.
No,
it really does not.
It's 24/7, and
you know, and on the other end of the coin, thank God that you have people who are willing to put their heart and soul into their cause and bring them out to create a show.
And you know, we have a couple of track operators that watch and listen. I'd love to have one of them come down and talk about the challenges of owning a racetrack.
That would be interesting.
It would be interesting. Anyway, we're getting that.
We're getting the finger.
Yeah, no overtime.
No overtime.
Anyway.
That's it.
I want to thank everybody for being part of our show tonight, taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch. And wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this week, please be safe, please be careful. I hope everybody had a nice Easter and a Passover season. And what else can we say?
That's it. Get those tires all, stick it up.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Get them all softened so you're all set for the track.
Get them all softened. Good night, everybody. Be well. See you Monday.
Take care.